Hi everybody, real life Kevin here. We just came back from locals. It was a pretty big crowd. We did 3 rounds. You see, here's my participation card, the good old Jagan. I went 2-1 playing Freedom Unicorn blockers. I think for the most part, this list is something I'm very comfortable with. I'll make some adjustments based on what I'll tell you guys, but for the most part, this deck was pretty solid. It put in work. A lot of games I would say I won more through skill than luck. Obviously, luck plays a factor in a lot of things because it's best of one format, but I would say overall, I was like in control most of the time, making good decisions and stuff like that. Because the whole point of playing some kind of like deck like this is that you want to make smart trades with your opponent and then ensure that you try to gain card advantages very more or less slowly, and by turn like 5, turn 6 even is when you drop your big boys, like your good old Aile strikes and stuff like that, and then you'll start popping off, start bopping all their units one by one, because by then you'll have big units with a lot of health, a lot of damage. And for aggro decks, if they can't beat you by then they're probably going to lose. But I'll talk a little bit about my rounds as well. But first of all, we talk about deck profile. So we're playing, 3 GMs. If I had a 4th one, I would probably play that, but I'm poor. No, I'm just kidding. It's because you can't find starter deck around anymore. But when it gets eventually reprinted, I'll probably play another one. This absolutely put in work, but at the same time, 3, I think it's good. It's an okay ratio. Like, you shouldn't feel bad if you don't have a 4th one. Just play something else. But obviously, this is very good. It's 2-2. I put pressure on my opponent by at least swinging for EX base, and then you just block it with your other big boy. If they attack this, then sure, you do the trade. But for 2-2, just putting on like aggressive damage, I think that's fine. And also being a 1-drop, that's important. Cost matters. I play only 2 Zowort. I think it's an overrated card because it requires 2 resources, right? And level 2, would I rather have 2 of these or 1 of that? Obviously, I'll probably try to do 2 of these, but it really depends on the board state as well. Because you're playing against aggro, then you probably need a blocker to at least block them before they get like high maneuver shenanigans, especially you're playing against green. But Zowort, obviously Zowort, excuse me, putting in work. You guys all know what it does. I just think it's not as good as should be like played as 4, because that's probably too much. Where obviously your opponent is gonna try to like trade with this or something like that, right? Where it's not as good as the Lfrith, which we obviously play 4 of, which is the next card. This one is amazing because obviously it's at a 4 health, which absolutely matters because you play against the Zaku or some other common early aggro kind of deck, their attack points are relatively low, and so if your Lfrith can last for more than 2 turns, then it basically gained its value out of blocking and stuff like that. And I'll even try to attach like a pilot to the Lfrith, so it just has a gigantic body and be able to block things. So I'll be willing to sacrifice a pilot to do that, or depending on what pilot you draw, for example Amuro, then you're able to rest something, attack it, and then use your base to reposition it, and then you have a big booty blocker as well. So obviously great. Next we played 2 Gundams. Like I said, I only had access to 1 starter deck, so I think this is fine. Every time it needed to come up, it did come up. Repair matters because it's also like a pseudo thing for you to easily attack, especially if you have it linked with Amuro, and then you also gain the +1 AP, which sometimes does come up, right? So it will matter, especially if you're keeping track of things. So instead of having the extra RXs, then I just had Delta Plus line around, and it basically almost served the same kind of purpose, except that the stats are flipped. So this has 4 instead of 3 compared to this, and has repair 1, right? And then it also gains the +1 during link. So another deck maybe that I'll think about, then if I wanted to play like green blue aggro, then I'll absolutely play Delta Pluses with Aile, and then you'll be able to start working things here and there. So I think that was fine. And when it mattered, it mattered. If you can play more copies of this, then do it, but I just don't have access to it, so unfortunate. Anyways, moving on to the more Gundam Seed stuff. We played double Sword Strike, double Perfect Strike, because we like to have options, right? Sword Strike, when linked and attack, it can choose an enemy unit with 2 or less HP, return it to the owner's hand. So that can be annoying stuff. For example, tokens, especially you're playing against aggro decks. Like I played against red blue and also green red, and both of them had tokens, and so Sword Strike was able to put in like flipping back the hand. Since they're flipped back the hand, they can't go back to grave or anything like that. Tokens just disappear, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? And then same thing with Perfect Strike Gundam. Similar mentality where some random things are being able to have like 1 HP, like one little thing that you just need to get rid of, so you just pull it back to hand. Sure, they regained HP, but at least they have to reuse their resources to summon it, and that's better for you overall in terms of getting advantage, right? Because you want to be a couple steps ahead of them, grind them out, and then basically go for swing in the game, which I'll explain my games a little bit more in depth after deck profile. And of course, it being a blocker, that's really important, being 4/4. Next, of course, Aile Strike, right? Obviously, grade 4, and then being able to return stuff and to the owner's hand, especially being 4 HP or less. So that can be like the RX, for example, Grandpa Gundam. It can be random stuff like another Aile Strike, right? It can be even stuff like Zaku's and other aggressive things like that. So you just put them back in the hand. They have to waste the resources to summon it, because not a lot of things are over like 4 health to begin with, and it being like level 5 4 cost, I think that's great. And of course, being a blocker. Next, we play 2 Normal Unicorn, double Destroyable Unicorn. I'll explain later why I would probably change these ratios, because this deck just loses to Wing Zero, right? Wing Zero is so good because it's able to do 3 damage to everything that's level 5 or lower. So obviously, almost our entire deck is level 5 or lower, so it's being 3 damage to it is almost enough to take out almost everything. So very annoying. Unicorn Gundam never came up. I never drew this. I will probably fix these to play 3 of each, because drawing them and being able to get a free level 7 I think is quick enough for you to do quick damage against white green. Because I think, in my opinion, that's the worst matchup that you can do, right? Because ramp decks, they're able to outgrind you and like summon things anyways, and then when they drop Wing Zero, that gets rid of your entire board, which is the entire purpose of this deck, right? To have board presence. But if they get rid of all your board and you can't recover, then well, that sucks. So I'll probably play 3 of these. 1 more is coming in soon, and I have other unicorns. Maybe this might be too much at 3, but I like to make this deck probably revolve more around unicorn. Because Freedom, we do play Freedom. They absolutely did put in work when it mattered, but it being a 7-drop and you not really being able to cheat it out compared to like your worst matchups, I think maybe it's probably too much. I'll probably cut this down to 2 and then put in the extra unicorn, because Freedom Gundam is great, obviously, because it's able to do the minus AP and take like no damage, and so it can survive a lot longer. But I think you have enough blockers, and if you're playing this deck efficiently enough, you'll be able to trade very well. So I think it being a big booty is not necessarily that important anyways, right? This is a big booty if you don't pair it, but if you have a pilot pair with the other lower level things, then it's going to have almost equivalent to the amount of health anyways. So Freedom Gundam, absolutely a great card, amazing. Every time I summon it, you basically win. Kind of like Sinanju, like I said in the other deck profile. But Freedom Gundam, you can probably put it too. I will probably change this around and stuff based on my experience. So those are all the units, monsters, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about pilots. So Amuro, play 4, of course. Probably the best blue pilot in the game at the moment, because it's able to rest things, and if you rest things, you're able to attack them. You attack them, then you're able to gain board presence, and then you gain advantage, and then of course that means you're going to slowly whittle down their shields. So Amuro obviously put in work. Stats are amazing. Try to use it more or less aggressively is what I did in my games. Like, even though I'm not really playing too many Federation units, obviously it's just such a good card to like force people to rest things, and then your other units will attack, and I think that's great. Especially you have like the Lfrith, who is able to, for example, attack like a Zowort, where it does 3 damage to you. You still have the 1, and then you rest it. You got rid of a blocker. You still have a blocker to last for their turn, and then you basically gain advantage from there. So that's how you play it. Use it aggressively, use it defensively, whatever you want to say. For Kira, absolutely amazing. Of course, we all know what it does. Jesus Yamato from Gundam Seed, because it's able to do -2 AP with the Aile Strike. Obviously, it does like basically -4, or with the Freedom, right? Yeah, with the Freedom, excuse me. With Freedom Gun, you're basically doing 4, which is crazy. Yeah, so 4 once per turn. That's basically almost every single big boy boss monster, aside from like something I can think of like Big Zam or whatever. So yeah, obviously we know the amazingness of Kira. Then of course we played 3 Banaghers. Banaghers. Gundam Unicorn, right? We know what it does, draw 1. I also try to link this up or repair it anyways because the stats are also very good. +2/+2, we all know what it does. I don't think I even paired it. Well, I paired it once, I believe, with Destroy My Unicorn, but that was like I was gonna win anyway, so I just kind of did it as like a extra draw, just in case something stupid happens, right? You know, Gorge, Battle Fader, whatever. So those are the pilots. You probably could play a 4 Banagher. Banagher absolutely puts in work because I mean it's just another extra level. I don't think it matters that much, but I think drawing this initially is on your starting hand. It's not as good as the other, so that's why I didn't play another copy. There you go. Finally, command cards. Overflowing Affection. I also absolutely never saw it. Entire locals this time. Never saw it. Only saw it once during my loss. And that was the initial game where I kind of took a gamble anyways. Where I figured like, okay, my original starting hand was like a bunch of kind of high level, mid level units. And I didn't know, obviously I didn't know what my opponent was playing. But they were 1-1 and I was 2-0. Like undefeated. So I have to also say random tangent. Like I feel Bandai's matchmaking system is kind of like, what? Like, shouldn't I be playing like the undefeated one? Like I don't know how in Yu-Gi-Oh, like you play Swiss, you would play someone based on whatever your record is at the moment. But I don't know. Both undefeated people, we got paired up with people who were like 1 loss. I don't. That was weird to me. But anyways, never saw this. Only saw it once in the loss. Absolutely a great card. If you can get this going second, and then you be able to summon something as well, obviously, absolutely amazing. There you go. I also do play the Unforeseen Incident. This can probably be cut out, but I like it because obviously it's an action card, and then it's able to maintain board presence, which is the most important thing to me, right? You could play this as, say, another copy of Zowort. You could say this is another copy of a pilot, but I think having an extra command card, just in case when your opponent doesn't expect it, because I don't think too many people will probably play this in blockers or whatever, right? I think just it being a bluff or some kind of deterrence for your opponent is good, especially since it's able to do -3 AP to your opponent, right? And then say they try to swing at your blocker, you're able to just do this, and then it doesn't matter anyways, right? So there you go. And then 2, Short Resolve. I think 3 cost is way too much. I don't think it's as good as it you think it would be, because basically pot of greed. But cost and using your resources efficiently absolutely matters. So I think 2 is fine. This feels like more of a win more card, in my opinion, for this kind of build of deck. But I feel that if, for example, it's level 4 on your 4th turn, if you play this, you're probably not going to be playing anything else, right? So what realistically are you getting out of the 2 cards? Because you have to wait for the next turn anyway. So unless you have a board established and then you play this, I think it's not as good. Especially if you're playing against aggro decks, and it's not fast enough, as you say. So there we go, and then we play the 4 bases. Archangel. Until I find a better base, this is probably the best one because it allows you to reflip your blockers, right? I think I can probably play an additional base, being the white base card, but I think this is fine. To be honest, like my playstyle, I don't really care about bases anyways. Like if I draw it in, or if you burst it, then that's fine. If I don't burst it, then oh well, unlucky for me, right? Because we're playing 4 copies. If I didn't draw it, or all 4 of them was stuck in deck at the bottom, you live and you die by that, right? So overall, that's the deck. I'll talk about matchups real quick, and then standout cards. So match 1, I played against red. I played against green, red, Xeon Rush, more or less, right? Like they had Dops, they had Zaku Sniper, which both of them I don't really think they're great cards to begin with, because when they draw it or deploy it, for a lot of my opponents, they did not manage to get the add to card or add to hand effect at all, right? They didn't draw units. This is crazy. So you run the risk of that unless you play an extremely high Xeon count, which I'm assuming they did, but it just got unlucky. So there's that. And then in that game, I think I was trying to set up a little bit more. Maybe I could have played a lot more aggressive, but at the same time, obviously, Xeon Rush, Xeon Aggressive, they're going to have a lot of units. So they had Goof, they had tokens, they had all the things going on. But unfortunately, they were all really weak. So like 1-1, 3-1, stuff like that, where I was able to get efficient trades, especially from, like I said, with the Lfrith, and then having like a pilot pair to it, right? So you'll have let's say Amuro, because it's like turn 4, right? So next turn you have an Amuro paired, you rest whatever, and then at this point you have a 4-5. 4-5 is able to knock out almost everything in Zaku Rush, right? So being able to take like 1-1, do whittle down their boards and stuff, and then being efficient with your other cards like you have. For example, like I said, the Sword Strike Gundam, right? When it's attacking, it's able to just bounce something, or the other one, the where's the one? Like I said, the Perfect Strike Gundam, because doing one enemy with 1 HP, right? So being able to bounce something like a token through your hand, I did that multiple times. So even though they deployed a token through their base or through their goof or whatever, right? Or even shard token, it didn't really matter because I was able to just bounce it and then gain advantage. I did get Big Zam though. That was a little scary. However, they were pretty down to card advantage at that point, and I was like, no, there's no way you can. Like, it was like turn 10 or so, almost turn 9, but obviously I was like, nah, they probably won't have something big anyways to pay for cost to summon something. So at that point, they had lower level units. I had like a bunch of high level units and able to put work in there. I had no shields left, but I did get into. I held on to a base basically until like the last second, and then I played it, and it was like, oh come on. So there, I think I was gonna win that no matter what. So that was round 1. Round 2, I played against green and blue, like Federation Xeon Rush aggro, whatever you want to call it. I think my opponent unfortunately didn't mulligan well, and also they didn't really pair into pilots that much. They did have Char and then his Zaku able to do high maneuver and like knock on my base a couple times, but like I said, like the previous match, if you play efficiently, then you'll be able to make good trades with your opponent, especially with the big boy blockers. Like for example, they have, again, like they have tokens, or they have like you have multiple blockers on field, right? So for example, you have something like this, just for example, right? Like say you have this and you have this, and your opponent has like the Grandpa Gundam, right? Grandpa Gundam, yeah, has 4 health, but obviously if you block, you'll be able to live with this. So you'll probably block this first, right? And then they bop it, or they choose attack, you block, you get rid of this. This is down to 1 health, right? 1 health. And sometimes, depending on what I had like in the base or whatever, I wouldn't even bother blocking them with this. I'll just let them do it, and then they have the thing rested, and then the following turn I'll just attack and then use the base to just get it back. Like, yeah, I could have just blocked the attack and not taken any damage to the base, but like the base is still there, right? So it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no reason for me to block this. Like, I would just take the 1 HP trades to this, so that I would try to maintain board presence as much as possible, which is the point of the deck, right? Like, yeah, you would obviously not try to do blocking with this. Like, it would make no sense to leave this on board with like 1 health or 2 health. So that's how you play it, right? So little by little, I just like whittle them down, and then 1 strike, since they have no blockers, I'll just attack all 4, and I just won. Game 3, I played against Wing Zero. I drew pretty okay for the first one. The first one, I did have a lot of level 5s and like 1 pilot, which ideally in this kind of deck, you don't want that. You want a mulligan for like, say, your blocker, a GM, maybe this if you're feeling a little risky. But usually these are like the 4 cards that you would try to mulligan for, which I'm surprised people don't tell these things in decks, or maybe the decks I've seen, they don't explain like what you try to mulligan for. That's a very important part of the game, especially since in this kind of game there's like no shuffling, so you can't like unshuffle, unbrick your deck, right? So you try to mulligan for these 4 cards. If you get 1 copy of these, then, or a blocker or something, I think it's good. It's great. Keep it. If you get any combination of these, you're probably in very good shape, because then you're gonna probably ramp into like better cards over time. So game 3, I went second because to get the extra EX resource, which I think people are still trying to figure out, right? A lot of people say going second is better, but there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, like setting up field and stuff like that. But basically how the game worked was that he had wing bird mode and started ramping. So even though I went second, he was already ahead of me in terms of level, right? So I tried making efficient trades, because I also wasn't drawing into like big boy monsters, or if I was drawing into like Freedom Gundam, right? I was drawing into freaking destroy more Unicorn. Like, even though it was like turn 4, like there's no way I could summon these cards at the moment. And looking at the game state, if I was able to at least buy more time, then these things would have been activated, and then his Wing Zero wouldn't matter anyways. But it was just unfortunate because he was very efficient with his resources management as well, because he just like stayed around. Like I tried trading, not trading, but like efficiently getting rid of his blockers and then going for base, but it wasn't fast enough, obviously, in terms of just like dropping Wing Zero and then just wiping everything. So, for example, I had a weird board state where I remember I had the Lfrith and the good old classic Amuro. So since I had white base on, or Archangel, excuse me, Archangel, right? My opponent had his Zowort blocker thing, so I had that. Obviously, if I attack this, it will be enough for damage. But he also had like another random thing that could bop this. So instead of just like doing trades or whatever, right? You would just Amuro it, Amuro, and then bop this. Use Archangel to reset it so it can block one of his opponent's monsters, and then other weird things like that, right? Like other weird things you would never typically see people try to do. Like I also at one point had a Zowort. If I could find it, let's just pretend. Like, so Zowort, like that, and I had like freaking Kira like paired to it, right? So Kira paired to it, or something similar to that, right? Something weird like this, like you would never try to see. But since I had the additional health, it will last one more turn, and I believe that was enough for me to buy time to hopefully activate, like, you know, my good cards and stuff like that. So, you know, my Aile Gundam, for example, he had like was it like Shenlong or something like that, which I don't remember. It's super strong, but he basically had like, oh, he had another Aile Strike, excuse me, he had another Aile Strike. So like, you know, is it worth it to trade into like an Aile Strike and, for example, Lfrith, right? Because Lfrith then would last by 1 point, which obviously would be very annoying for him, but that's why you pair units, so you like still maintain board presence. So unfortunately, I think if he didn't, obviously I can say coulda, shoulda, woulda, but he dropped Wing Zero on me. I think that was just unfortunate. I couldn't draw anything in time to try to maintain board presence anyways, so that's why in this new deck list next time I will probably be ready for Wing Zero by playing more like destroy mode unicorns or something like that, where it being 3 damage to a lot of things that are level 5 or lower, it's basically everything, right? So I hate that card so much. So yeah, there you go. That's my locals deck profile. This absolutely was amazing. I'll probably mix and match between playing extreme aggro to Xeon mid-range, like the deck profile I said, and then probably this one. But yeah, hopefully I can find another person to play with, and then we'll show live duels. So yeah, thank you for watching. It's kind of like a podcast format. Hopefully this is a good discussion for y'all. You like what you saw, you want to see more, please leave a like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. What do you find annoying in your locals? For me, public enemy #1 now is Gundam Wing Zero, even though Wing Zero is like one of the cool mobile suits, right? Amazing mobile suits. I know you guys can't see it, but on top of the shelf I do have the Wing Zero, like, you know, pose and looks all nice and sick and stuff. So anyways, see you guys around. Bye bye.